was a little bit difficult for me to follow. And it was just her acting out of place. And it's funny because I wrote an episode that never got aired and nothing happened of it, but I did write an episode.
Cool.
And I pitched it to the writers, and the episode was basically about Dax's character changing in the very way that it changes in this episode, where she becomes, violent and aggressive. But I had her change being the result of her being addicted to something that Quark puts in his drinks to get everybody to come and spend more money.
Oh, interesting. I like it.
Yeah, so that was my little storyline.
Yeah.
When I pitched it to the writers,
cool.
they told me they couldn't use it because of the video game, everybody on Next Generation being addicted to the video game.
Right.
Yeah,
it was similar to that, huh?
So it's kind of like, they did use something, not exactly that, but remember in Enterprise, T'Pol got addicted to that Trillium or whatever it was called.
That was kind of a rough episode too.
Yeah, it was
she like
rough.
falls down trying to.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about this story idea you had, though, Cirroc. I mean,
is
Jake
cool.
Sisko, the writer.
Yeah, that's right.
Was there like a subplot that you can remember? Like, what was the B story?
Oh yeah, so the A and B story. The A story was Quark buying this stuff from some alien who's selling him these drugs to put in his drinks. He throws a party and gives away free drinks at the party, knowing that everybody's going to come back, and that kind of leads Odo to be suspicious of it. There's no way Quark's giving anything away for free.
Right.
And then a couple of people don't show up to the party, like Sisko, so he doesn't get affected. But the people that do show up, like Dax, gets addicted to the drink and then starts becoming, we see the same kind of things that we see with alcoholism or drug abuse, which is basically her losing herself and, diminishing and not being as polished and refined as, somebody who's clean and sober. And she actually turns to like almost prostitution in my episode, right?
Wow.
Just to have the money to buy the drinks.
Did you ever think about making it into a book?
No, I didn't. I just wrote it as a script. But the other storyline was that Sisko and Jake get into a fallout, and Jake decides that he doesn't want to play baseball anymore because it's just
boo.
That's his thing with his dad, and he wants to rebel. And so he's at the holodeck, kind of griping to the baseball player about his dad and asking him. Well, I wrote it as Michael Jordan, and this was at the time when Jordan's left basketball and started playing baseball.
Yeah.
So in my Holosuite program, Jordan was a famous baseball player, and I'm talking with him and saying that I got in a fight with my dad and I want to play a new game. Is there any game that you'd recommend?
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Does he say basketball?
Yeah, he does say basketball. He's like, there's this other sport I used to play. And that would be the little joke. It would also be a chance to get Michael Jordan on an episode.
Yeah, right?
Oh, that would be so cool, dude.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah, that was the goal. And so I pitched the idea. I wrote it, pitched it, and had a good time with the writers. And, they gave me the time of day at least to sit down and listen and hear it out. And they eventually told me that, one, Michael Jordan would be impossible to get on the show. And the other thing was that this episode was kind of like the Next Generation episode where everybody was addicted to the video game. And
not terribly close, but yeah.
Oh, exactly.
So I hadn't seen that episode, the Next Generation one that they're talking about. So I didn't.
And it wasn't that good. Yours sounds better.
Reference.
And by the way, let's just go on record in saying that, of course, Star Trek would never recycle story ideas from series to series, right? Come on.
What was the third episode of Next Gen again? Wasn't it like the Naked Now?
Yeah, right. Same thing. I mean, it seems like every series. They have like episodes where you're like, oh, that's just like the episode in Deep Space Nine, Voyager does it or whatever.
Well, it's almost impossible to to
Yeah.
not have an overlap of some sort of a theme or an
There's
idea.
700 episodes. I mean, like,
And
how many
now
ideas
the
can we have?
Orville, and now the Orville
Yeah.
is doing episodes that are similar to previous Star
Right.
Trek episodes because they're kind of taking over that mantle.
But if you're going
you
to
know,
deal with sexism or racism or any one of these topics, it's going to repeat itself at some point or another, even if it's written out a little bit differently.
mhm.
Yeah,
Totally.
You know, it would have been cool though if they said, "Look, we can't afford Michael Jordan. There's no way, but Bo Jackson, you know, Bo Jackson
Oh.
does a lot of different sports. Bo knows
I would've
tennis, you know."
I would have been good with Bo Jackson, to be honest with you.
Totally.
No complaints here. But the thing is, at the time, no, Avery, I asked Avery about this because Avery was good friends with Michael Jordan's dad
Oh,
at the time when he was alive. And I was telling Avery, hey, I got this episode I wrote. I want to get Jordan involved. And he was like, yeah, I'll get Jordan. So when the writers were telling me Jordan's impossible, I'm like, no, Avery can get Jordan. I was like, Avery will get Jordan. They're like, we don't have the budget for it. I'm like, no, it could be done. I'm sure it could be done. It's
Let the
possible.
emissary handle it.
Let the emissary handle it.
that's awesome, right?
Yeah. And I think there's been other athletes that have been on Star Trek, like James Worthy, right? He played a Klingon,
Yeah,
if I'm
right.
not
James
mistaken.
Worthy. Mhm.
Yeah. So I was like, hey, let's at least
Spock.
give it a shot.
Dwayne Johnson.
Right.
Yeah, and Paul White, the giant, was an Orion in Enterprise as well.
Yeah, the reason I thought Jordan would have liked it is because it was actually in the way it was written, made it look like Jordan was more famous as a baseball player.
Yeah, that's creative. I picked that
That's-
up when you said that. That's
And
really
he
cool.
was really trying to sell himself as a baseball player at that time, so he'd have been like,
Right.
"Yeah, I like that
Yeah,
idea."
exactly. So here we are in the future. We're looking back. He's more known as a baseball player from my perspective than as a basketball player. So that would have been like a little stroke on his ego that I thought he would have liked, and it would have, kind of given a little incentive.
So this was right around third, fourth season, probably like fourth season or something like that, right?
Right. I wonder where I have that script.
You should totally think about making it into a book. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
those books out there. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be a good little story. It's
As
fun.
long as everything kind of goes back to how it was, towards the
At
end,
the end.
then it can fit right in, and it doesn't like disturb canon in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't think of it that way. I was just I looked at it as a challenge to write an episode, and at that time I had seen now at this point other actors were directing episodes, and so I was like, well, I don't think I'll have a chance to direct an episode because I'm only about 18 years old. So I doubt that they're going to be like, yeah, we'll give him the responsibility to run the show here. But I felt like I could write an episode.
Totally.
And since I was a writer already, and so I took my ideas and just made it. So really it was accomplishment for me personally, just to see, can I do it? Set a goal for myself.
Yeah.
And I got it done. So,
And
It's awesome.
big kudos to you for doing it, and big kudos to them for taking you seriously. I mean, most people would be like 18-year-old. I mean, like, hey, I don't know, but they listened to you. They liked the idea, and you can tell that they really considered it because they gave you an actual legitimate reason why it wouldn't work. They didn't just say, okay, thanks very much. We'll think about it. We'll let you know.
Exactly.
They thought about it and they said, damn, that won't work because such and such. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.